Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in to another video to learn about features in FHI-aims, an ab initio material simulation package for materials science and chemistry. Today, we're exploring the area of computational catalysis. This work I'll show you today is based on recent publications by Beltler et al. And Miyazaki et al., which investigate how cobalt nanoparticles on modified silica supports can convert CO2 into valuable products like methanol, methane, and carbon monoxide. This research matters for two key reasons. First, it shows how chemical reactions at ancient hydrothermal vents might have produced the first building blocks of life. Second, it provides insights for developing more efficient catalysts for CO2 conversion, a critical technology for addressing climate change and creating sustainable chemical processes. The key question these studies address is, what makes a good catalyst for selective CO2 conversion? The researchers found that cobalt nanoparticles on silica supports modified with different metals, such as titanium, aluminum, or magnesium, show varying performance. Specifically, they discovered that the titanium-modified support yielded the highest concentration of valuable products like formate and acetate. But what's most interesting is that most active catalysts are necessarily the most selective ones. Cobalt nanoparticles on pristine silica had the highest CO2 conversion, but produced mostly methane, while cobalt on titanium-modified silica had lower conversion, but higher selectivity toward valuable oxygenates like methanol. Now, let's look at how these catalysts were modeled using FHI-aims. In our online tutorial, please also check the description here, we demonstrate a multi-scale approach. We start out with a single cobalt atom to understand its electronic structure and magnetic properties. Then, we move to a cobalt-20 cluster to see now how these cobalt atoms interact with each other. Next, we place the cluster on an amorphous silica support to create a model catalyst, as done in the reference publications. Finally, we calculate CO2 adsorption energies at different cobalt sites to predict the reactivity. Throughout these steps, we pay special attention to spin polarization, which is critical for magnetic materials like cobalt. And we use a Hirschfeld charge analysis to analyze the electron transfer between the support and nanoparticle. What we find confirms and partially explains the experimental findings. Significant electron transfer occurs from the cobalt nanoparticle to the silica support, especially at the interface sites. CO2 adsorbs more strongly on metallic cobalt sites compared to oxidized interfacial sites. Yet surprisingly, catalysts with more oxidized species show better selectivity towards methanol. This also explains why titanium-modified supports, which create more oxidized cobalt species, perform differently than pristine silica. Miyazaki et al. Also use artificial intelligence approaches to advance this research even further. They employ the CISO approach to identify key descriptors, also known as materials genes, that correlate with catalytic performance. By combining experimental data, theoretical calculations, and elemental properties, they created models that not only describe the observed performance, but also predict new promising catalyst materials. This led them to synthesize and test cobalt catalysts with new additives, vanadium and zinc, with the vanadium catalyst indeed showing excellent methanol selectivity. This research illustrates the power of combining experimental work, computational modeling, and artificial intelligence to understand and design better catalysts. Not only can we identify which materials work best, but also why they work, which in turn provides design principles for future catalysts. For those interested in learning more, our written tutorial linked in the description walks through the simulation workflow using FHI-aims, demonstrating how to model complex magnetic systems and calculate adsorption energies. These computational techniques can also be applied to many other catalyst systems beyond cobalt. Thank you for tuning in. Please check out our website and online tutorials for more examples. Happy simulating!